All right, so let's jump right in. You hear about artificial intelligence literally every single day, right? How it's going to change everything, solve problems we thought were unsolvable. But there's a shadow side to all this brilliance, a massive hidden cost we almost never discuss, what it's doing to our planet. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the unseen humor of these incredible machines. And this quote from the source material, wow, it just nails it. It really sets the stakes, doesn't it? AI holds all this promise, but it's like we've created this powerful new kind of fire, and that fire needs fuel. It's got to come from somewhere. So the big question is, what exactly is the price we're paying for all this progress? So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll get a handle on the problem itself, this shadow on the grid. Then we'll look at the good stuff, how AI can actually be a green ally. After that, though, we're diving into the bad and the ugly, the hidden costs, and some pretty serious threats. And we'll wrap up by exploring a path forward, a way to build a more conscious AI. Okay, let's start with that first big idea, the unseen hunger of our digital world. It's easy to forget that behind all the slick apps and instant answers, there's a massive demand for power. And that demand, it is growing at a truly incredible pace. The source we're looking at calls this the gluttonous grid. And honestly, that's a perfect name for it. It's this powerful metaphor for an invisible, absolutely thirsty infrastructure. It's a great reminder that AI isn't magic, It's powered by very real things, huge data centers, tons of hardware, and a demand for electricity that just keeps going up. And this really captures the central tension, right? Thinking about AI is a lot like thinking about the discovery of fire. I mean, what a massive leap for humanity. It could warm our homes, forge our tools, but that kind of power is always a double-edged sword. On one side, you've got these immense, world-changing capabilities, and on the other, a very, very real cost to our planet. Now, before we go too far down the rabbit hole of costs and consequences, it's so important to understand why we're even chasing this tech so hard. Because, and this is key, AI can also be an absolutely incredible force for environmental good. And here's where things get really fascinating. We're not just talking about tiny, incremental improvements here. AI could totally change our relationship with the planet. Think about smart grids that don't just cut down on waste, but actually predict energy demand in real time, or climate models so ridiculously accurate that we can predict and get ready for extreme weather like never before. It's all about shifting from being reactive to being proactive. So here's the key takeaway for this part. AI has the potential to be this incredibly powerful guide. It can help us manage our planet's resources with a level of precision we've just never had. It can literally point to where we're being wasteful and show us exactly how to fix it. Okay, so we've seen the incredible promise, the good part of the story. But now we have to look at the other side of the coin, the insatiable appetite of these algorithms. And yeah, this is where the story starts to get complicated. So let's just ask the question directly. What is the actual, tangible cost of all this brain power? Because it's a cost that's almost never shown to us, the people actually using this stuff every day. Well, a huge part of it starts with the training process. I mean, before an AI can do any of those amazing things we just mentioned, it has to, learn. And that learning process, it takes a truly staggering amount of energy. Okay, here's the number that just stops you in your tracks. I'll be honest, I had to read this a couple of times. A study from the University of Massachusetts Amherst found that training just one large AI model can spit out over 626,000 pounds of carbon dioxide. Now, a number that big is kind of hard to wrap your head around, so let's put it in perspective. Look at this. On one side, you have the training of that single AI model. On the other, an average American car. That one AI model can release nearly 5 times the carbon dioxide as a car does over its entire lifetime. And that includes making the car and every single drop of gas it ever burns. And remember, that's just for one model. And believe it or not, that shocking carbon cost from the electricity, that's just the beginning. The entire AI industry is built on this relentless cycle of go faster, be better, where performance is king and the environmental impact, well, that's often just an afterthought. You see, this whole thing is like a chain reaction. It just keeps building. First, you need these massive data centers. We're talking facilities that can guzzle as much power as a small city. Then, to build the hardware, you need to mine for rare earth minerals, which is often a dirty, destructive business. And finally, because the tech moves so fast, all that hardware becomes obsolete in a flash, creating these growing mountains of toxic e-waste. And all of this brings us to, well, to the most difficult part of this story, the ugly. Because if this insatiable hunger is left completely unchecked, we're not just talking about a bigger carbon footprint anymore, we're talking about potential existential threats. When you lay it all out like this, the scale of the challenge becomes, well, frankly, terrifying. Think about it. The sheer energy demand from AI could actively work against our global efforts to fight climate change. The scramble for the specific minerals needed for the hardware could ignite new conflicts around the world. And maybe a little deeper, our over-reliance on this tech could just make us more and more detached from the natural world we claim to be trying to protect, all while its physical footprint leaves scars that may never heal. And here's the great, bitter irony in all of this. The very tool that we hope will solve our biggest problems, like climate change, could actually end up making the root problem even worse, our own unsustainable habits of consumption. So, okay, where does that leave us? Is it all hopeless? Well, no. The final part of the source material actually offers a path forward. And it's not about giving up on technology, it's about approaching it differently, with a sense of mindfulness, with real intention. And this brings us right back to that fire metaphor from the beginning. The technology itself isn't good or bad, it's just a tool. The real danger isn't the heat of the flame, it's the sleeping hand that holds it. The responsibility? It lies with us. So, what can we actually do? Well, the source gives us this really practical checklist. First, we can audit our own digital footprint. And trust me, you might be surprised what you find. We can vote with our wallets and support companies trying to build a sustainable green AI. We can demand that big tech companies be transparent about their energy use. We can even just challenge ourselves to use these tools more mindfully, maybe take a little break. And maybe the most important one, actually get outside, unplug, and reconnect with the natural world this is all supposed to be about. And look, the point of all this isn't to make you feel guilty, not at all. It's about awareness. These steps are just designed to wake us up a bit, to see the real-world consequences of our digital lives, and to empower us to make better, more intentional choices. And that brings us to the final, lingering question. It's the one we started with, and it's the one we all really need to keep asking ourselves. Are we in control of this powerful new tool, using it to serve what's best in us, or are we just becoming servants to its bottomless appetite? The choice, for now at least, is still ours.